All right, welcome to another episode of the Critical Introvert Show. I'm your host, Senor Filth, and I'm joined by Benevolent Asshole. We have Alexandra Castle as our guest today. If you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, this is the first time I'm doing an introduction like this, so I'll try to do my best and try to keep it short for you guys. My name is Alexandra, and I own Alexandra Castle Art, and I am in a partnership with my sister we're in a company called Citizen Castle, and I am an artist, designer, and currently trying to become a conservative activist with everything that's going on. I think it's really needed, and I'm very glad to have found like-minded individuals that we can talk about this stuff with.
I guess let's first talk about just where you grew up, or you're from LA, so I guess let's just jump into like how LA has changed for everybody, because it's insane.
LA, I actually created a design. It's on the Citizen Castle website, citizencastle.com, and the title of it is Lost Angeles. And there's a graphic up there that I had designed. And I guess over the past 3 years is when it was really starting to rapidly decline. But growing up, I remember how different it used to be.
Yeah.
I always knew there was a tinge of, be careful out there.
Yeah.
It's a big world, Los Angeles, but over the past 3 years, it just got to the point where mess in the streets, violence, crimes rising, couldn't trust anyone. Court system is completely corrupt. And it's become such a paradise for people who want to become victims and remain victims. And the system has made it so that they're allowed to continue that way and be rewarded.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, I won't name names, was in a car accident with two young women who weren't documented, and they didn't have insurance. My friend did the right thing, pulled over, exchanged information. They actually tried to run away from the scene of the crime, but he continued to pursue them. And, I want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing here. And they said they don't have insurance. They just exchanged driver's licenses and his insurance. And then 2 years after the fact, right before statute of limitations were about to expire, they hit him with a lawsuit.
Wow.
And it was a minor accident, but they were allowed to do it. And it was something that hit really close to home because, I'm sure you guys from LA or different areas in California or wherever, and I'm sure you know what driving in LA is like.
Yeah.
It's crazy. The drivers are nuts. And there is no mercy for anybody on those streets. So when they're it's just an example, but it's that kind of attitude where people who break the law can play the system. And it's just gotten so backwards to me, and people can steal up to, what is it, $950?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And not get arrested. And
is it not get arrested or not get like charged?
Well, I think originally the bill was supposed to be that instead of felonies, it was going to be reduced to misdemeanors. But over the years, especially within the past year, it's become so common that police won't show up to arrest them.
Yeah.
So, and then it's up to the DA if they're going to charge them.
Yeah.
Ultimately. So I don't know, people were working so hard,
Yeah.
to stay over there with the life they worked to build.
Yeah.
I mean, they worked so hard. And the thing that gets me the most is the businesses that were impacted negatively the most were businesses owned by minorities,
Yeah.
especially during the BLM riots. And nobody talks about it. Mom and pop shops that have been up there for years, it's sad. It's extremely sad. And I am trying to find the right words to even describe how I feel about it, because it's an overwhelming emotion, honestly, because that's
Yeah.
where I grew up.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Like I grew up in like the same house, most of my life. Not where I am right now, but yeah, it's just like the neighborhood I grew up in was, a good one. It was a quiet kind of neighborhood, and now it's, I see like random shirtless hobo guys yelling shit, and
Well,
like just it's sad to just see it crumble, and for everyone to sort of like deny it, like crumbling when I'm trying to tell them. It's like they have like this delusion that it's gonna somehow get better by doing the same thing, voting the same.
It's not. And that's actually something that I'm trying to combat over here in Texas, because um I came to Texas to keep it red also. I don't want Texas turning blue. I don't
Yeah.
want California, Texas. I want Texas to be Texas. And everyone I meet, they ask me where I'm from. Oh, California. Oh, California. Oh, okay. Wait, no, I'm not here to get in California, Texas,
Well,
I swear.
I think California is mostly red though. It's just like the big city, like the cities.
Yeah, I think
It's
so
like
too.
being underrepresented. Like if or the big cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles are overrepresenting the state, when in reality, like if you drive like a little outside or like where I live at, it's still LA, but it's not LA. It's just considered LA County, but it's like a little bit more rural, and it's like a lot less liberal. It seems a lot less liberal.
Yeah,
Like the same
even
thing anywhere in California. Yeah, you just drive a little bit outside of the city, and it's like it's more red.
yeah,
So,
even when I go up like in Whittier's like a pretty like heavily Mexican kind of neighborhood. Like I'm seeing a lot more conservative people. There's a nice conservative cholo couple that are out there. Yeah, and
yeah, it's like I
it's
got
like
my
a
own
weird,
business, fool.
yeah, yeah,
What's
yeah,
up,
yeah.
fool?
It's a weird cultural thing here in LA, and it's
It is really weird. It's there's a weird balance, but that balance has been skewed so badly. And
mhm,
I think that the election fraud, honestly, there's a lot that goes on in California. I think
yeah.
was it Kanye West who said that he was voted for twice, like he had two votes.
Mm.
It said he voted or he mailed something in, I think. I
Remember there
remember.
was a couple. I remember there was even like a football player that stated that. I don't remember his name.
But it's so prevalent that that's, you know
Yeah.
it's that's also part of the reason why California has gone down. It's starting to go down the tubes. And honestly, it's like a cancer, it just spreads. It's like a disease. And a lot of people who try to move away from the liberal areas, who are liberal themselves,
Hmm.
will continue to vote liberal in these other places and try to turn them blue.
Yeah, it's hard to like convince people that like it actually is the way you vote that makes the city go to shit. Like I've had conversations over here with people, like, just trying to like get them to like you know think a little bit more about how they vote, and they just it's weird. It's like you voted for this, right?
yeah.
And you're gonna vote the same. What are you gonna expect? Like, it's odd.
No
Well,
changes.
well, the culture shift that I've noticed, like in LA, like as I grew up kind of like in the hood, is that even like in the hood, it was kind of like messy out there too with like violence and stuff. But even then, there was still a sense of community back then.
Yeah.
You don't have that anymore. Like people would still take pride in cutting their grass. Like everybody had like, or most of the block had their grass screen. They'd cut their or mow their lawn, and every now and then people would have those big block parties where they like close off the
Yeah.
streets, and like everybody would. There's like a banquet, like everybody bring like their favorite dish. Like people bring like mac and cheese and pork chops or whatever it is that they made, and like they'd set up like tables out on the street. And this is like in LA, like in
Yeah.
South LA, and like they don't do stuff like that. There's like a lost sense of community, and people don't really want to like in that since the government's overreached so much, and there's all these like there's Section 8, there's all these like welfare programs. People don't want to give that. There's that I guess that sense of apathy that you're like, well, why am I gonna give like money to anybody
Yeah.
if they're just gonna like they're already on assistance or something like that's what was lost, is that people don't want to help each other anymore because of the government, like and we allowed it to happen over like the last 20 years.
That's kind of one thing I've noticed over the last couple of years. Like when I was a kid, like if I go to like birthday parties with like my aunts and stuff, like there was a lot of people, there's music, it was like a fun environment. Now it feels like a corporate outing or something. Like it's very like it's timed, you know. It's like, well, it starts from 3 to 5 and get the fuck out of my house and you know wear a mask. It's not as engaging and fun anymore.
Well, it's kind of like a little bit theater too, like the whole like wearing a mask, because like all the events that I've done, I don't like, I think I've shared this before, because I drive everywhere, like LA County, Orange County, and just about every event that I've done, like nobody, there might be like one person wearing a mask
Mhm.
at the house. And I
Yeah.
think like there's like only one time that somebody asked me to put on a mask, I think once, but
Mhm.
like nobody else was wearing a mask at their party. They're just like, I guess like, I don't know, they saw me as I guess a peasant or something. But like nobody wears like a mask at home. It's only like when they go to like the supermarket, like, okay, like time to get in. It's like they're putting on their outfit. They're okay, they're playing like a movie, like, okay, time to go out and be part of this movie now.
Yeah.
People don't really, they know it's all like or most of it is fake, but they still enjoy participating in it.
I
I
think
think
they I think
part
they
of it is
just
because of movies.
yeah, I think they just wear masks because they just think they should wear a mask. It's up to that point.
Well, some people also wear it because they're so, it's so stupid. I saw somebody post that they were going to wear a mask because they didn't want anybody thinking that they voted for Donald Trump.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, that should give everybody like a sign that like this has been political from day one.
yeah. That's the problem. It's like everybody's indulging so much in like political dogma. It's like
Hmm.
if somebody like the other side is doing something, like they're gonna do the opposite. I'm like, no, it's like you should follow your principles, like or whatever it is that you believe in. And the problem is that the government has done such a good job at taking God out of the equation, just like just having them just like lose all hope and just being like, oh, okay, just
Yeah.
you don't have to believe, you don't have to be religious, you don't have to have any values or morals, just like believing in God is you're being brainwashed, like kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just
I think that
it's sad.
I think it's not so much like a removal of God. It's just like a removal of having kind of boundaries set for yourself that I've
Or
kind of
ethics,
noticed. Yeah, ethics and stuff like that.
values. The value system has definitely gone down the drain
Mhm.
over there. But the belief in God, I have to agree, has been taken away. It's been slowly been taught to children starting at a very young age in the schools, especially the public schools, that God isn't real, God doesn't exist, and it's taken that faith and that spirituality away. And without that, without that religion, without that guidance, that spiritual guidance. I mean, it's I don't know how someone is expected to understand right from wrong. I mean, obviously, yes, someone can be an atheist, know right from wrong, but it's been like a brainwashing technique almost, where a higher power is the government.
Yeah.
It's not God. There is nothing higher than the government. And that's what really bothers me.
Yeah.
And how many people actually really are in the government versus the number of people living here, or the citizens in the United States?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a crazy amount, like a difference.
Yep.
Yeah, I think one of the things I see coming, like LA turning into, is like, I think they're pushing for more people to, like, the entire state, to like everyone to work for the state or some kind of
Oh, really?
state funded thing, because everything like small business is just, it's kind of it feels like entrepreneurship is like kind of villainized here, and it's
Oh,
hard
yeah.
to say.
The taxes that I paid on my small business in California were astronomical. And I
Mhm.
wasn't even making anything. I was barely making it. I was barely creating a profit.
Mhm.
And that profit went to taxes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean,
But it's like it's to a point where like it's not going to be even like worth it to not work in the state here or be part of some state job here, because everything else is like, the prices of everything is so high, and if you want to like buy a house or anything, any kind of property, you're gonna have to like get some state job and work up, and, like, be like a political kind of figure. I just don't see it happening.
I worry about California. It's gotten so bad. And I remember the debt in California was always pretty bad growing up.
Mhm.
We always spent more than we were able to, and we were able to get away with it. But I think it was last year, right before I moved, where we had the really bad brush fires.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
And part of the reason that it happened was because the funds that were allocated to clear the brush were taken away and put somewhere else in California.
Yeah.
And there is going to be something in California that just going to break the camel's back, because
Mhm.
people can't continue to live like that. It's not sustainable. The people, I mean, even celebrities are moving out of California. They're moving to Texas. They're moving to, I think some people are moving to Australia. But they can also afford private security.
Mhm.
What about the common man? What about the average Joe on the street? It's gonna take a lot, because it's either going to flip very quickly back to red, or it's just going to decline so bad to the point where I don't even know how it's going to get back.
Yeah.
Well, they've done like a really good job at taking advantage of the whole crisis, like because they've already consolidated power with like the whole healthcare system, because we're constrained to like 3 different vaccines. We can like really choose any other alternative. So we're being constrained to like healthcare. And then same thing with like the schools, like if you take your kids to school, you're being indoctrinated like with Marx's teachings. And then with like, if you're going to buy something, like mostly everybody is now buying from Amazon, because a lot of stuff is not, you can't
Yeah.
you can't find things anymore. So they're really consolidated. They're taking care of, the business sector, the healthcare sector, and schools. So it's a little
They're
bit,
lining their own pockets.
we're being extorted.
Yeah, the people of California are being extorted.
Yeah.
People of America are being extorted
Yeah.
under the Biden administration. But California especially. I mean, and it's been going on for years.
Mhm.
For years. And there are more conservatives than people think there are. They don't have a voice. They've
Yeah.
never had a voice.
Yeah, it does feel like anything that's not super left, like just has no representation at all in any kind of popular medium that
But
I can
yeah,
think
and the biggest names are big supporters of liberal ideologies.
of. Mhm.
Like Hollywood, for one, is a huge supporter of everything that's going on right now. The universities in California, I mean, I know all the California state universities have mandated vaccine,
Really?
from my personal experience, when I transferred to USC, I mean, this was a few years ago, but it was so crazy because I was going to school with some of the richest kids in California. Some of them were even children of celebrities.
Mhm.
And the way they talked, there was no understanding of the real world.
Mhm.
They preached socialism and Marxism and thought it was this great thing that the whole world needed to know about and needed to model their government after.
Yeah.
But in actual fact, they have no idea what the countries that have implemented socialism and communism, what happened to them. They have no idea. And they fight for justice all over the world, but we're the only one. I think there's maybe one other country but besides for that, we're the only country in the world as a capitalist society. And there's a reason why we have the freedoms that we have.
Mhm.
If we didn't have freedom of speech,
Yeah.
none of this they wouldn't be able to even be talking about it. And it's just, there's something to be said about the hard knocks life and
Mhm.
about it teaching people really what it means to be a human being and
Yeah.
understand what life is about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's like what we touched on with I think Derek Weiss a little bit, because there's like a disconnection with a lot of these college students where they go to college, and especially like if they're just like if they spend all their lives just being taken care of by mom and dad, and then they go to like college, they're just like being brainwashed the whole time they're in college because they're not really gaining any experience. They're getting
Mhm.
knowledge, which they think it's knowledge, but it's just like all brainwashing. But they don't have a combination of knowledge and experience to like validate each other. And that's where the disconnection is, where they're like they idealize all these ideas that in their mind they think are good ideas, but realistically impossible. It's like
Yeah.
impossible. Like you actually have to go get in there, go work in the farm or work with your hands or just actually get something done
Yeah.
and see what it takes. That way you can have like a better perspective on your ideas. It's not just about reading the book, it's about actually having the experiences. Like I think that what she was trying
Yeah.
to say, there's like a disconnection there.
Yeah, that was the main thing I noticed when I was in school. Because I went to school a couple years ago, and I was like in my late 20s, and I noticed like a lot of these kids, like like they were so certain of the things they knew at that age, like, and it's like there's a whole other side to what you're saying, but like it's like they were just so certain that like day one they're done learning about shit, so like everyone just admire me because I'm so smart. It was very arrogant.
Yeah, it's extremely arrogant. And a lot of it has to be said about what goes on in the home.
Hmm.
And what goes on in the home, I have no idea, but I would like to believe that the reason is it's honestly just parents who don't want their children to succeed ultimately. If they really wanted them to succeed, they would teach them, this is how you do chores. This is how you make your bed. This is how you clean your floors. This is how you pick up after your dog. You know, some of these people are so jaded and out of touch with reality that they've invented this alternate reality
Yeah.
that they're pushing so hard for people to agree with. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. It's just, it's like a bunch of Peter Pan people who
Well, I mean, looking back, like when I was like in college, like when I first moved out, when I had like roommates, like I noticed that most of my roommates, because I had a lot of roommates, because I guess in a way, the way I was raised, I was disciplined by both of my parents, and I was used to like waking up at a certain time or waking up kind of early and like eating breakfast and just getting through my day and getting stuff done.
Yeah.
But it was so weird for me to see like my roommates like wake up until like 12 and not eat breakfast. I'm like, and not wash dishes or not do anything around the house. I'm like, oh, what are you doing? It's like help out a little bit. And I think it has a lot to do with how they were raised with their parents, because like my dad was always like on me, and it's funny because like he would like make me feel like he would come and like wake me up and then be like, come on, let's go, we're gonna go work on the yard, we're gonna go do this. And like he would be like, oh, it's all I would wake up and it's like barely like 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning. Like, what the hell? It's like, the hell is still like early. Can we wait like another hour? No, because then the sun's gonna come out and we're gonna be like in the sun. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
yeah, I miss that old
Yeah.
school way of
Yeah.
teaching, that old school
Yeah.
thought. I really wish that more parents would start doing that again. If
Yeah.
I ever get married and I have kids, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing with my kids. That's how I was raised. It was very hands-on parenting. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And you know, that actually reminds me, you know, California, with the prices that people have to pay, a lot of parents are out of the home. You know, it's a dual income. They both have to work to pay to survive. And so that leaves the kids alone or in school. The
Yeah.
parents aren't home. So, I mean, that kind of is also attributes to what has gone on. It's a very vicious cycle, and
Yeah.
it's a domino effect of everything that's happening, and it's very hard to articulate. I feel like I'm struggling with my own
Yeah.
No, you're doing
trying
good.
to
It's,
catch
yeah.
up.
You're doing good.
But I almost wish, you know, sometimes, because I'm a very visual person,
Yeah.
I'm an artist, I wish I could just map out the whole thing and just show this big spider web of how everything is interconnected. And that's honestly a lot of why I do my art, because I notice the complexities in life, and it's hard for me to sometimes articulate them in a cohesive sentence, I guess.
Yeah.
Cohesive story. And so my line work is a way for me to show the connections from everything to every little facet, you know, that make up a bigger picture.
Yeah.
And I guess with social media, that those facets have expanded, and we see how broader and how much bigger these things are. I mean, social media is a gift and a curse, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
You know, it's allowed a lot of expansion of bad, but it's also allowed for a lot of expansion of good things. But man, it's really complicated in my life. But yeah.
Do you think like if social media didn't exist, like if it was never a thing, like where would like our culture be? Because that's one thing I've kind of been wondering. Like, would it be chill or would it be even worse? Like because we wouldn't know what's going on. Because a lot of like our kind of research is it's we're not getting it through mainstream media. We're like doing it on our own through whatever websites, YouTube and shit like that. So it's just one thing I've always like. What do you guys think? Like, would it be chill or would it be even more intense? I just don't know.
I think honestly it might be the same, but I think the dissemination, I think that's the right word, of information would be harder to achieve. That big reach social media has to such a broad audience. Because I know in the 70s there was a lot of riots, there was a lot of people protesting, and it was not a good time, and social media didn't exist then. And also with the riots in California, I think it was in the 60s. The same thing over there. And the news wasn't readily available. It's interesting because without information, a lot of chaos happens, and with too much information, chaos happens. There has to be kind of like a balance. And we had that for a little bit. You know, we had somewhat of a balance. I'm not saying it was perfect, but I do remember a few years where social media, you know, had grown a bit, but it hadn't reached the point where it is right now, where it's in every aspect of our lives. It's really interesting question.
Because like I've been kind of doing my own sort of research, even like before social media was big, and you know, because I'm kind of dorky with the stuff I look into. Like I always say, like you have to kind of be dorky to sort of understand this kind of stuff. Otherwise, you're just gonna get really caught up into like this whirlwind of like extreme ideas. You're just not gonna know how to handle it. So I think social media has like made like those hardcore ideas like more cool and hip, and but I don't know. It's
but kind of fake though, right? Is that what you're gonna say? Like kind of fake, like hip, but like not trendy.
Trendy,
It's trendy. Yeah, it creates trends out of ideas. I think that social media hasn't allowed for people to create their own ideas and beliefs based on information that they had to research. I think that's a big part of it. You know, it takes away our need to use our critical thinking skills. That's, you know, research and trying to understand what really goes on is something that helps develop the way we process information. And it's a healthy way to think critically, right? But most people nowadays don't have that skill. They don't have that skill. They, you know, they go and try to, I don't know, fix a clogged sink, and they got stuck, you know, somewhere in between the YouTube video and the TikTok video. And they haven't thought once to just pick up a book or even look at a manual, look at the pictures, or try to figure it out themselves, get underneath that sink, try to pull some pipes out. You know, get a little dirty, get your hands, you know, do something, think critically. Instead, they're relying on their devices and social media to tell them what to do. Which ultimately, it's the same way that goes for their thinking behaviors. So which is a big thing about politics. You know, which side is winning, which side is popular right now.
I always wonder, like, when did the death of critical thinking happen? Because like I never took a critical thinking class, but it was just always like in my mentality to always like question things. Even with like the movies and stuff like that, I like try to pick apart like the cinematography and all this shit. Like I'm dorky like that. But
it's,
I don't know.
I was gonna say, like, it's kind of like the idea where you're trying, I think, explain is that people want the title of like being an artist or carpenter or whatever it is that they want to be, but they don't want to have like the knowledge of actually knowing what it is that they're talking about or notice what they're actually doing. Like if you look at politics, everybody wants to be like righteous and virtuous, but they don't know anything about politics. They just want to feel, they just want to adopt that sense of, oh yeah, I'm a freedom fighter, but they don't know anything. Like they just like they're thinking. There's no critical thinking behind it. And it's funny because like even going back to like the early 2000s, I noticed that like nerdiness or like dorkiness, what you were talking about, that's like it's almost like they create like a stigma behind it. Like that's before I even like considered myself even kind of like conservative or anything like that. But it's like, why is it that it's there's always like some kind of stigma? There's nothing wrong with it because all that dorkiness or nerdiness is just you getting obsessed or getting excited about something and trying to figure it out or trying to learn as much about it. And for whatever reason, like in the early 90s or like back in the day, like people were like, oh, you're a dork, or like for like what's wrong with learning? What's wrong with critical thinking or being specialized in something? But now it's like people want to inherit that title of being like smart or being known for like a specialty, without actually knowing how to do it though. Does that make sense? That's where the whole trendiness or the whole pseudo intellect or the pretentious person. I think that is, I don't know. That's how I understand what you were trying to say.
Yeah. You're kind of making me think because, like, I noticed, like when like hipster became a thing, it sort of felt like people were like trying to be dorky, but like trying to like play the part of like a cool dork, but they were just dressed weird.
Yeah, they were just like put on like their handlebar mustache and all that stuff. Like before, it was like because I was kind of like a hipster, but not like on purpose. It was because I was like you said, like I was saying, I was like obsessed with music, and I was like, oh, okay, I want to like find like music that just sounds unique or different from like other music, and I actually appreciated that kind of music. It wasn't because I was trying to be part of like a group of people that listen to the same music, or I wanted to dress like a certain way. It was just like, oh, that's cool music. But then like after a while, it felt like it did get hijacked, and then there was all these like Antifa and like all these like hipster-ish type that pretend like they know about the music, but they don't really know shit about it. It sounds so bitter, but I don't know. I really am bitter about like the whole music and celebrities, and just I feel like they've completely. I knew that I've never like really worshipped them, but there's like a complete like betrayal. I mean, did you hear like what Ron Perlman like said not too long ago in regards to like Afghanistan?
No.
He said like the stupidest thing. He said something about like, this message for Joe Biden. You know, Joe Biden, this message for you. I want you to go over to Afghanistan. I want you to take every single Afghan citizen and just remove them from there and just bring them over here. I'm like, what the hell are you going to put all those people? It's like, and then
what about the Americans that are still stuck there?
Yeah, exactly. First of all, it's like, where are you going to put the people? Secondly, like, what about the Americans? Like, it's like, that's the one thing I keep trying to emphasize. Like,
I think I found it. Was it a video?
Yeah, like
I think I found it. You guys want to check it out? See if I can do this.
Yeah, but like they were doing like the same thing on NPR because I like an event really far away from where I live at, and I had like 2 hours listening to radio, and they were playing the same agenda too, with what he's talking about.
Let's listen
to what he
see what he has to say.
Morning, Mr. President, my friend Joe. I've been tossing and turning all night, giving this a great deal of thought. And there's one way you can save the day here, and that is to tell the Taliban that you are going to escort every Afghan that wants to leave the Taliban behind to the airport and put them on planes.
Yeah, because the Taliban is so understanding.
Yeah, like Joe Biden's gonna walk in there with his ice cream and like hold them by the hand and like escort them like up the airplane. I'm thinking, you're an idiot, man.
Every single Afghan who knows that their life is in danger by this swift and hasty set of circumstances. Our withdrawal, the fact that the government was never stood up to be able to withhold the swift takeover of the Taliban and everything that ensued since. So what you got to do is you just got to tell the Taliban, we're coming in. We're going to get everybody from all of the outskirts of Afghanistan to the airport. Anybody who wants to leave gets a free ride from us. and then we leave that place to those people.
Free ride. What about taxpayer money? That's what's going to be. That's what's going to be spending to get everyone home. It's all free ride, Ron Perlman.
It's like how easy he thinks it is, you know, like
so easy. Tell the Taliban we're coming in to rescue all those people, and
But it's
you're
also
just
like, yeah. But it's also patronizing. It assumes the fact that like you know what's best for them. Maybe some of those people don't want to leave. Because I mean, from what I was reading, or like actually from what I was watching, I was like listening to like John Doyle. I don't know if you guys ever checked out John Doyle. It's like some young conservative guy, but he's talking about like almost like 90-something% of like people that live in Afghanistan favor Sharia law. And I had like no idea that it was like that high. I'm like,
what was the percentage?
Like 90-something%.
Jesus.
I have to double check to make sure it's correct, but like
90%.
How is like Sharia law with like freedom of the press? Like, is that a thing down there? Or is it dead? Because I think those numbers might be a little fucked if like that ain't a thing.
Or you might get your tongue served on the plate.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'd also like to know where the so-called squad is, you know, fighting for women's rights in Afghanistan, because with Sharia law, a lot of women right now are being stripped away from all the rights that they have accumulated over the past few years with us being there.
Yeah.
So where are they? Oh, they're silent. Why? Because it doesn't fit their agenda. They don't need to talk about it.
Yeah, I remember when Trump was inaugurated, like all of like my Instagram feed was just like, oh, this is the worst day ever. And you know, when did Afghanistan happen? Like last week, was it? I haven't seen anybody post a single thing.
It's gone so quickly. I can't even remember when we started to pull out.
Yeah. Well, we're paying for this because like on NPR, that I was gonna say like I listened to the whole NPR thing for like almost like an hour, and the whole time they were talking about, because they compared like the refugees from Vietnam to the refugees from now, the potential refugees from now, and they're trying to play that emotional card so they can bring like so we can import the refugees from Afghanistan, like, oh yeah, like I'm a refugee from Vietnam, like yeah, I think the president should do this and bring all these refugees from Afghanistan because they need to be able to have a chance. And but like the whole time I was listening, like no criticism towards like Joe Biden, like it was all just like about like getting nothing about Americans. It was all about like these refugees from Afghanistan, like nothing about Americans. I'm like, and no criticism about Joe Biden. It's so like, it drives me crazy.
It's beyond infuriating.
Yeah.
It's because he can do no wrong. It's really, he can do no wrong. And why? Why is it that he can do no wrong? I mean, even presidents in the past that were liberal, I mean, Bill Clinton was impeached. But why is Joe Biden so different? What makes him so special? What makes him the unicorn?
I think I know.
Go ahead.
Because either he really is stupid, or he just kind of like playing like being stupid. And I think either way, like it works for him. Just acting the way he does, because then there's no accountability, because nobody wants to like push like what's that saying, that horse that's already like on its like last leg. Nobody wants to like push that, like he's like got out of it already. Like, why am I gonna, versus like Trump was like a badass. He would just be in control to say whatever he wanted, whether you like what he was saying or not. Like he was in control. So it was like he was like much more easier to criticize, because like, oh, okay, well, this guy can take it. But Joe Biden, everybody's kind of like, well, I don't know. He's like an old man, like
eating his ice cream.
He's eating his ice cream. He reminds me of my grandpa or something. Like it's like the perfect candidate to just to get away with all this like stupid. Oh well, I bombed like Afghanistan, the other my ice cream. Like he's not making any sense. He could bomb like all these other countries and people be like, oh, it's not his fault. He's kind of like, his mind is gone.
Is the border crisis still going on? Like, is that just
still going on? There's so much to keep up with. Yeah.
I'm in a Facebook group actually with people who live alongside the border. And the media is keeping all of this under wraps, what's going on. not just every day, it's multiple times a day. There are
Yeah.
people who are driving across the border. There are people who are running, people getting killed, I mean, the violence has risen beyond any level I think we've ever seen
Mhm.
on the southern border. It's crazy. People are leaving their kids in the middle of the desert, like in the middle of nowhere, to just so what?
Yeah, it's funny when like the average leftist like compassion like disappears conveniently sometimes,
Convenient.
you know what I mean?
It's
Like,
convenient empathy.
yeah,
It's very they're very selective about what they get angry over. It's like, oh no, this no,
yeah,
I'm gonna get too much pushback.
it's odd.
Oh yeah, and then with what's her name, AOC, when her, what was it, her grandmother's house was flooded.
Oh yeah, and she was just some Matt Walsh, I
Matt
think did
Walsh, I
a
believe, he raised the money for her, for her grandmother. In the meantime, she's driving a Tesla, right? I think it's a Tesla, and
yeah,
she refused the money. She
yeah,
refused,
yeah, and I think
instead she chose to blame Trump for his policies on why her grandmother wasn't given aid. So I mean, it's just their way of trying to twist everything around in their favor. And it just drives me bonkers. I don't know. I do know there are people definitely waking up, though. There are
yeah,
people who are starting to realize that there is something really, really wrong going on.
yeah,
Because
yeah. That's what gives me kind of like a lot of hope, because I think, I mean, I only know so much and you guys only know so much, but like even people that know far little, like deep down, I think they're getting a sense that something is wrong, and I think
yeah,
that's a good start.
like a nagging feeling,
Yeah,
something's wrong here. This doesn't add up. There's too many coincidences. There's too many things being blamed on this one thing.
hmm
So I definitely think that something is going to happen.
Yeah.
What? I'm not sure, but
yeah,
I know it's coming.
yeah. It's hard to like pinpoint like what exactly is going to happen. Like some people are saying civil war, and other people are saying like a countrywide like divorce kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
like a Texas, like
yeah.
yeah,
It's hard to,
I've heard that. And it could be that some of the states choose to leave the union.
Mhm.
Or it could just be that we expose the federal government and local governments, for that matter, for the crooks that they are, and show people, look, this is what's going on. Now we
Yeah.
can change it. Let's put them in jail. It's time to lock them up.
It's not even so much that they're crooks. It's just like how like unimportant they really are. I think like there's
Well, some of them are real crooks, though. Some of
oh
them
yeah,
are.
yeah, definitely. But I'm talking about like the average state kind of level person. Like,
I'm not so sure. I there's a city here in Texas who the mayor has a realty company.
mhm.
And he just recently sold a large piece of land to the PGA,
Okay.
and it has been kind of warped into this way where all the policies he's been supporting and implementing and people he's been trying to push through benefit him monetarily in some way or another. And
Yeah.
it starts at the local level. That's another issue that all these issues tonight, I mean, my gosh. But starting at the local level is so important,
Mhm.
because you start small and it starts to spread. Like us
Yeah.
talking right now, we don't know who's going to see this video and say, hey, look, these people are taking a stand. These people are talking about this. They are artists. They're not necessarily people who people would think, oh, they're conservatives.
Yeah.
I can come and tell people, not be afraid of who I am and start talking about these things. We don't know what our actions day to day are going to have an effect on people. So it's going back to the local government. It's important to start pushing through those people who want to better the community and actually better the community. In Los Angeles, you have people in the city council. I think one of them was just removed a few months ago, if I remember correctly. But they themselves are corrupt. And look at the mayor.
Yeah.
Need I say more? I mean, how long has he been in office?
Yeah. I don't know. Like
A very long time.
And he's Nancy Pelosi's nephew, I believe.
No, Gavin Newsom.
Oh, right.
You're talking about the governor, right? Or
The governor
Mayor.
is
yeah,
mayor of Los Angeles. Garcetti.
Garcetti,
Yeah,
What-
Garcetti.
haven't heard much from him.
Governor.
yeah,
I like that.
Governor Gavin Newsom. Well, at least his recall is being pushed through. But man, that guy, man.
I
What was it?
still hear a lot of people that like want to vote no on the recall. I have
Really?
no idea why. Yeah. Because I have, people that like work, some like work in like big state unions, and they're very tribal, kind of culty.
They make it seem like it's like just like a right wing versus like a left wing thing. No, it's like there's a lot of Democrats that actually want him out. It has like nothing to do with like your political party. It has everything to do with like what you believe in. Like you don't want the guy there.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of ads for stopping the recall, and they always like name it like "Stop the Republican Recall," and it's like it's not a partisan thing. It's just
stop the evil Republican.
This is about right and wrong. It has nothing to do with it. You see, a lot of people get confused now. They are using Republican and Democrat as an excuse for their behavior.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. I remember when, what was it, the whooping cough was starting to come back, and people didn't want to vaccinate their children. I forgot what it was, but I know in Los Angeles, people had to go get booster shots. They needed a letter signed from their doctor that they had it. They needed proof. And there were a lot of people who tried to push back against it and said, you don't need to see my medical records. You don't need to know what I've taken, what I haven't taken. What's the difference this time? What's the difference? The difference is that now people are so polarized and everyone's on opposite sides of the spectrum. There are people on both sides of the party who are refusing to show proof of the whooping cough vaccine. What's the difference now? All of a sudden it's become a partisan issue. Our health, our civil liberties, our right to privacy. I'm pretty sure HIPAA is still a thing. I mean, and these pushback on, it's just, I think I saw somewhere Australia had started banning guns because of the suicide rates, they were saying.
Really?
And now I think I saw this somewhere. And if I'm mistaken, then I'm mistaken. It's my fault. But now the citizens are being pulled out of their homes and forced to be vaccinated. Their children are being taken away to camps. I mean, this is apocalyptic behavior. This is Nazi Germany. People get so whatever. I'm Jewish, okay? I know what Nazi Germany was like. I don't personally know what Nazi Germany was like, but I had Holocaust survivors come to my school. It was talked about. We know what happened. It wasn't that it happened overnight. It happened very slowly. and people who say stop comparing to the Holocaust, this comparison has to be made. It has to be made because this is what happened. They started stripping, it's just this, it's just that, let's comply. Let's not make an issue about it. And the reason it was allowed to go forward and why it got so far was because nobody stood up. And the people that did stand up either got silenced right away, people told them to stop talking, or they had to run away. So point out the differences to me now. People get very sensitive about these things, but now is not the time to be sensitive. Now is the time to think logically and to see how connected the two events are in history.
But even like, do you know who like
Ina Carano? Or
say like Yeonmi Park and
okay.
And there's another woman like Lily something. But she grew up and lived through like Mal's Revolution. And there's a good episode of Tim Pool's show. I don't know. Do you know Tim Pool? Oh, he does like this kind of like a podcast show, but he had her on and she was talking about like living through Mal's Revolution and a lot of the comparisons that she's seen, because a lot of it was very media driven. I don't think a lot of people realize like how propaganda actually works.
Yeah, they don't, because the propaganda went on in Nazi Germany, it went on in Russia, it went on in so many other places, that they used it to control the population. They used it to brainwash the people. They used it to keep them stupid. And they used it to, if an event happened, like say Chernobyl, you guys will.
Yeah, I haven't heard of
the media downplayed it because the government didn't want everybody to freak out and run around like crazy people. They didn't want the world to know that Russia screwed up. That's the whole thing. They didn't want it. So they didn't want their population to know. They wanted them to remain ignorant. So I'm getting this is like, it's very rare for me to be able to talk to people. I mean, I spend a lot of time working, so it's kind of
no, we understand, like we're like very introverted. It just seemed like you had like a thought that you wanted to like shoot out. So
it happens. It happens.
It
happens to us.
Nazi Germany, that whole idea of being controlled by propaganda and government is not just isolated to Nazi Germany when you actually think about it. It has gone through different strands of communism and socialism in different countries. It's that kind of control. I remember there were video clips in China where they were burning buildings with people with COVID inside of them because they wanted to stop the spread. How is that different?
Like I went to Disneyland last week or 2 weeks ago, and they were super strict with the mask. Like even when I would go on a ride, like I had the thing on my nose, and like they would stop the ride and like like a little voice thing would like, please put your mask on, and
we can see your nostrils.
And I was just thinking like this is gonna like add to like the people that are super pro mask, like this is gonna add to like their genuine like annoyance to like the other side, and there's no telling like where that annoyance can lead up to. And it's weird. Like when I went to Disneyland, it was like the rides are fun, but like that whole strictness and like them stopping rides and shit like that, it felt very police state-y, and to have it be in Disneyland, just
especially like if you're like a little kid, that's like,
and
that's all so like some kids are gonna grow up with that thinking like, oh yeah, that's normal, like cover yourself up.
That's one thing I do worry about. I worry like how kids are gonna like come out of this, because this is gonna really, to tell a kid like if you don't put a cover on your face like Nana might die. That's gonna really
Yeah.
fuck with the kid's psychology.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's weird that like this is things that people don't think about. You know, and I think about this stuff all the time. It worries me.
Yeah, that's like the one thing I think about the most. Like I want to do something like for kids in terms like of my artwork. I don't know what exactly, but like I feel like I need to do something to like slow down the brainwash or like reverse it somehow. Because it's like right now it's like it's everybody. It's going down the line because the propaganda is very calculated because you'll hear something from CBS. And then as soon as like something comes out like on CBS or CNN, like you'll see like an actor like on his Instagram spitting out the same dribble, the same stuff, like the same lines.
Yeah, it's like the
you-
same script.
the
kinda
same
shit,
script. Yeah. Like the recent thing with like the whole Ron Perlman thing, that's exactly the same thing that he was mirroring the same thing that they were doing, the same propaganda from NPR. And then
Yeah, yeah.
recently too with who was it? Arnold Schwarzenegger and then Fauci, they both had the same lines, almost at the same, like I think it was like on the same day. It seems like I know you guys care about your liberties, but screw your liberty. Like basically saying like screw your liberties. Like this is something that we need to take care of. And like and that was
Yeah.
both came from Fauci and from Arnold Schwarzenegger at the same time. So somebody that is young, like younger than us, and even like some people like our age, or especially the younger people out there, they're gonna like take it like word by word, be like, okay, well, I guess that's what's happening. That's forming their perspective on the reality. But it's sadly it's propaganda though.
It makes me
Yeah.
wonder, like, because when I was a teenager, like every kid's gonna go through that rebellious phase. Like how like those rebellious kids are gonna respond to all this shit. Like, would it be like this weird punk rock like
Yeah.
resurgence? That's like a weird hope I have, maybe, but
I know.
I don't
But
know.
I feel kind of weird too, because like when I have to like draw people, like sometimes like they kind of sort of don't want to take off like their mask. So
Mhm.
like it's I feel weird, especially if it's like a girl. I'm like they'll show me like a little bit of like nostril, like oh can you show me like a little bit, like almost like it's almost like they're doing like a striptease, and I'm
Yeah.
like egging them on. It's like oh yeah, can you take it off a little, like take the whole thing off? Come on, it's okay, nobody's watching. Like
You're gonna be a
I was
star. Yeah.
like let me just draw your face. I'm not being a pervert. But
So you,
yeah.
you do you're a cartoonist?
Yeah, that's what I do. That's why like
Well,
I'm kind of
I wish I could
anonymous.
do that.
Yeah, because I do a lot of events like in person, so that's why like I chose to be anonymous, just because I'm not famous, but like if people see me out, I'm always out there in live settings, so I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't show my face so much.
It's understandable.
Yeah.
It's understand. Yeah, but that's cool. I always thought cartoonists, they did like amazing jobs. Even as a kid, I was like, oh, I always want to get one done. When I
Yeah.
finally got one done, I hung it in my room.
Oh,
I
you
wanted
did?
to hang it up.
That's cool. Where'd you get it at?
Oh, I think it was Legoland.
Oh, okay, cool.
When I
Yeah.
was a little kid. I always wanted one, but yeah, I have such an admiration for how quickly you guys can draw.
Yeah.
And your ability to kind of create this, it's a character, it's a whole nother side to the art world, which I'm having difficulty trying to express myself
I
tonight.
know.
And by the way, Chernobyl wasn't Russia, it was Soviet Union.
Yeah,
So
but it was like the nuclear fallout though. Like I just know
yeah,
that
it
that's
was
what
the
it was,
nuclear
right?
fallout from the
Yeah.
Chernobyl plant,
Yeah.
but it was from the Soviet Union that was spewing out that media.
Okay.
So it wasn't Russia, and I don't want to be one of those people that gets mistakes and then ends
It's
up
okay. I've messed up too on.
but
I don't think people should like be afraid of like maybe making a mistake here and there. Like, I think
I know. Yeah,
I think
you're right.
I think a lot of people like don't speak up because they're afraid to like get fact checked or something like that. But
That's
Like
true.
I talked with my brother about like economics, and he's way geekier on that because he studied that, and he corrects me all the time. I don't like take offense to it.
Is your brother also conservative?
I mean, he's getting there. I don't, like I mentioned before, I don't think it's like a conservative thing. I think it's more just not being woke more than anything.
The only reason I ask is because do you know who Thomas Sowell is?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I love Thomas
Mhm.
Sowell.
Yeah, he's a
And
bad
so I
dude.
would love to talk to an economic
Economics.
Economics.
economist.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
love to talk to an economist about what their take on this whole
Yeah.
society is. I'd love to talk to Thomas Sowell, but
Yeah. I think
I don't think he's got time in his calendar for me.
it's cool about economics the more I learn about it, like with my brother and just doing my own research, is that like people don't realize how much like you have to take into account like just human behavior with
Yeah.
it. It's really cool. I
I
think
guess-
people just think it's like money and numbers, but
Well,
there's like a common sense human behavior thing to it.
Yeah.
That's really cool about it.
yeah, like what I've learned like a little bit from like Thomas Sowell is that like economics is not just like the numbers like you're saying. It's like it's like a very objective way to get like a point of view.
Yeah.
Like, without like being okay, well, without having like a bias. Like it's very objective, like
Yeah.
to everything. So
Yeah.
versus like the government, like the way the government does things is very like inefficient without like using like empirical truths and just without actually testing anything. It doesn't matter like how efficient whatever it is that they propose. Like there's never anyways, wait, the government, there's never any accountability. It's always like this amazing proposal that's very unrealistic, and things always get worse. Like they propose something,
Yeah.
oh, well, we're gonna do this to help these people or help, and then it just gets worse, and then like people forget that it was actually better before the government even like stepped in. And-
Yeah, he mentions I can't remember the exact years, but he compares depressions through the ages where presidents would spend more money to help people and presidents that just let it heal on its own, and the differences. And I really have to do more research into that, but what makes people think that the government is their saving grace? I mean, I think that's really what it is. And it kind of almost ties into this need for parenting. There's some sort of, in a weird way, a lack of a attachment, or like a healthy, normal attachment in oneself to be able to say, I don't need to fall back on somebody.
Yeah.
I can stand in my own. Does anyone else see that weird connection?
Yeah,
Well,
you mentioned it. Yeah.
I think that's why they're pushing like so hard the gay agenda, just because they understand the power of like the family structure of having like a mom and the dad and the kids. And because I think I brought this up like in like the earlier episodes, like when you have like a family, like when you commit to like another person, you get married and you have kids, you're already adopting values because you're committing to that person, to that girl, that man. And you're taking responsibility, not walking away. Like if you have kids, you're not walking away from those kids, whether you're a good or bad dad or mom. Like you're still taking responsibility. You're learning. You're taking accountability of like what you made on this earth, and that's why
Hopefully you are.
yeah. So I think you just automatically, even if you're not like a religious person, you by having like a family, you're adopting like some sense of like value or value structure.
Yeah.
But if you're gay, it's I think a little bit harder. It's like, it's all about me, and it's all about the person, about themselves, like about. I think it's very selfish.
I think it has to do with like just weakening the culture
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah, it's weakening the culture. It's weakening the value systems of home life, of personal, what's important to a person, and instead they're trying to implement what's important to themselves,
Mhm.
the government. I mean, this could be analyzed for so many hours, and I doubt we're going to solve it in one night between the three of us. But I mean, it's sad, but what we can do right now as artists is to honestly just put as much content out there as possible, I think, for people to see and to resonate with, so they can say, look, I'm not alone. Or they can say, make them think,
Yeah.
do something to make them think, because that starts to stimulate that critical thinking we were talking about earlier.
Mhm.
And it starts to, that process of critical thinking, it's going to start on their own, for them to start saying, something's not right here.
Yeah. That kind of gives me like the idea of, like, you're starting, like, you're doing your apparel. Like, is there any like conservative values or anything like that, like, pushed through, like, message wise through your apparel, or
Sure.
is it
Yeah.
separate? Yeah.
Well, I haven't really publicized it because, I'm really bad at social media, to be honest.
Yeah, we all are. It's
But my own values, I go with somebody, my printer, he's based in Miami. He's a mom and pop shop. He supports his family on it. He works hard for it. I'm loyal to him. He's amazing. He owns it, it's called Gush Apparel. And
okay.
I stay with him. I try to buy as much American made as possible. And in terms of my designs, I started, but I feel like every piece that I start putting out there is just my frustration,
Mhm.
trying to work its way out into my lines. Because I don't know if you've ever seen my work.
I've seen quite a bit of it. I'm not sure if I've seen your like Alexandria Castle Instagram page. I'm not sure if there's anything beyond that.
Well, so my Citizen Castle company that I'm partners
Okay.
with my sister,
Uh-huh.
that's a big, we started that a few months ago, and I've got some more designs coming, but I
Uh-huh.
mean, I just didn't even have a filter for that. I just
Yeah.
went all out. It I'm trying right now to think of new designs that can appeal to people, in the sense of, you know there's something else that's going on here. I'm trying to figure out, the message. Like, what's the message? What message can I send? How can I get that message across? And it's tough. And
Yeah.
printing apparel, my only hope is that if I'm able to do it successfully, is I can have somebody wear it on their shirt and say, look, this is the message that we're trying to get across.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, because that's one thing I've sort of been kind of struggling like this past year, is I normally, like, I always thought like political art was kind of douchey, I guess. Like, I just didn't really like it. Um, or just the idea of people like putting their politics into their art. Like, it was just never me. I'm seeing what's going on now, and I'm thinking like maybe I've gone. I need to go back on that. Like, maybe start. I don't know. Like, I mentioned to you before about the idea of like making a kind of like rational thinking apparel, just for people like us. But like,
Yeah. And it
I'm
doesn't even have to be art. It's those rational thinking. Even if you just have rational thinking on a t-shirt,
Yeah.
Somebody buys it, they see it, somebody else sees it. It's a way to spread a message very quickly. I can't talk tonight. I'm sorry, guys.
It's okay.
um, it's also a way for us to express ourselves in how we dress. I know that I have stopped buying a lot because I like graphic shirts. I'm
Yeah.
a huge graphic shirt girl. Like, I even used to go to a law firm wearing for like used to put a blazer over it, but I love my graphic shirts. But so many companies nowadays are so politicized
Yeah.
that I can't bring myself to buy from them anymore. So instead, I'm trying to, be more mindful of
Yeah.
where I buy from and what I'm buying and what that message is. So I think that's a great idea. I think you should do it.
Yeah, because I mean, before I just had an idea of just like making stickers of like, I did a Ninja Turtle sticker pack and stuff like that. But I'm thinking like maybe I should do like a, like a sticker pack of people like Jordan Peterson or so, just something stupid like that, but just with like
Not stupid.
nerdy content. I like stupid. That's just how I.
No, it's
But
not.
just to make it,
logical stupidity.
I say stupid in that like it.
Yeah.
That it's fun, you know what I mean? That's what I mean by stupid. I don't mean it bad. Like I like when something's just fun and quote stupid, but you could just enjoy it.
Yeah,
I think I
something
should.
that isn't heavy.
Yeah, like preachy, or like I want to avoid preachiness, but
Yeah, that was my thing with my art company. It Citizen Castle was, it's kind of my outlet as well for all of my frustration and my need to create political art. And I love the designs that I come up with, but my Alexandra Castle art, I've had it now for about 2 years and I've built a fan base, but that line between wanting to stay in the middle of the road when it comes to politics is kind of blurring for me, because at this point in time, how can I not take a stand? How can I not say something if I have a platform to? Especially when I see so many people now who are getting let go from jobs because they refuse to comply with something. And I have the luxury of working for myself, but if there's a way that I can grow my brand and help other people in the process, I'd rather do it like that.
Yeah.
Somebody messaged me on, I think it was TikTok, asking me if I had any job openings, and unfortunately, I kind of, it's small business, and I felt horrible because she was being let go because she wouldn't take the vaccine, and
did she say what like line of work she was going to do for you, or
no, she was just looking for work. She
okay.
just wanted to work. She didn't want to be at home not working anymore.
Yeah.
And I felt horrible because I know there are companies that are stepping up to the plate and saying, we don't care, come work for us. But the companies that aren't there, and they're kind of just being silent, I part of me just feels like now's not the time to be silent anymore. You know what I mean? There's a time when you shouldn't mix your business with politics, but it's gone to the point where everything is so extreme that it's just time to fight back. I don't know. I'd love to hear what you guys think of that. That in terms of like companies, but I see so few companies that are coming out and supporting ideologies that protect the citizen and their rights.
Yeah.
It has to start somewhere, so you might as well start with the small ones.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, like part of me is uh, like I don't like politics becoming mainstream and being all over the place because that can lead to really dangerous things. I mean, it's happening now, but also I'm thinking like maybe it's already at that point where it's kind of all over the place. So maybe to combat it with like some other form of politics might be needed. Like that's why I'm fine with like if someone made like a super Christian conservative line apparel, let's say. Before I would be kind of, I don't know, like I said, I don't like political art, but
Yeah.
now just to balance things out, like I'm kind of fine with it.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is that like I don't think like most people really like political art, but we have to be honest, like throughout all these years, especially like 20 years, 30 years ago, like it's always been there. Maybe not as obvious
Yeah.
as it is now, but it's always been there. And over like the last 4 or 5 years, like I've had like some of my friends, some of my close friends, like it's like, dude, don't worry about it. Just do your art. Just don't worry about like politics, man. Just do your thing. But it's like we've gotten to a point where it's like Alexandra was saying, is that we have to say something. We have to take a stand for something.
Yeah.
And I think the only way is to somehow like do like a like just take we need to take the culture back, like a culture shift.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like I always go back to Andrew Breitbart because he was right. It's like the culture had just been hijacked.
Yeah.
Like I'm always going to bring this up because yeah, like if there was there was ever a time for like punk bands or for like anybody like to say anything or to be against the government, it would be now.
Yeah.
Why is it that they're silent? I mean,
Mhm.
so it doesn't then we have to somehow take that culture back. I mean, well, at least I don't know if you heard about the guy from The Offspring. I think he's being more vocal. I think he even the guy from The
Is
Offspring,
it the
Pete Prada.
drummer?
Yeah, the drummer Pete Prada. He recently was let go because he wouldn't get vaccinated, but
Yeah.
he's been like promoting like alternative like drugs like ivermectin and all this, and he's been like more vocal
That's cool.
because of like what happened. And it gives me hope because like everybody else, like it's just everybody in just like most of the punk communities, they don't care or they're like in support of Black Lives Matter or like so whether we like it or not, like the politics is going to be in the culture. Like but we
Yeah.
just have somehow to combat it with like better culture.
Yeah, that's
Better
why
culture.
like was like 2 years ago or something when like Kanye West was like he was like super pro Trump or something like that. People were saying he was crazy, but like I kind
Yeah.
of respected what he was trying to do. He was just trying to like say it's okay to like be different, and he got a lot of touch like blowback because of that. But
Yeah, he
Yes.
it's a bummer because like I'm a big hip hop fan, and you know,
Yeah, like everybody wants to be different until they comes down to like really being different. Like because nobody wants to stand alone. Like once you really try to be different, you're different. Like that. Oh well, I don't want to be that different. I want to be like different, like hot topic different, but not
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
really doing something unique. It's funny because I've even noticed it like in like the caricature community where like I try to be more creative and like even like some like coworker like, hey, well, what are you doing? That's like that's kind of weird. Or stop trying to be so so weird. I
You
don't know.
mean
Like it's
you mean like in your art or
yeah,
just
yeah. It's like
okay?
it is. People want to be unique, but like it's they like looking at unique stuff, but they don't want like I don't know like it's just, it's not as they like seeing like okay like maybe it's like they like seeing other people get drawn unique, but when it comes to them maybe they might be a little sensitive or but it's never even like about like for at least for me it's never about like insulting the person. It's more
Yeah,
about coming with something unique, like just pushing that expression more, like or just exaggerating not so much like even like the features but exaggerating that thing that makes them unique from everybody else.
yeah.
And that's yeah, that's why kind of like it blows my mind that there's not more caricature artists like speaking against like I've been able to like I guess get
Yeah.
some of them on here, but some of them are like super liberal. Like
Well,
It-
there's a whole movement right now. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but a lot of small businesses and artists use Etsy,
Mhm.
and Etsy has been taking down a lot of their posts because they're either too political or they don't send the message they want.
Really?
And
Wow.
yeah, it's been a huge thing within the small business community. And somebody, I forgot her name, but she opened up a shop that's kind of like Etsy. It's called Lexi, Lexii shop.com. I think that's what it is. And she doesn't care if you're conservative, liberal, she doesn't care what it is. All she wants to do is protect freedom of speech.
Yeah.
So I think that's amazing. And that's also a place, like, if somebody wants to get in touch with, conservative artists or people that are just even open to a conversation about this, that's a
Mhm.
great place to go to meet people.
Yeah.
And to buy from them, people who want to stand up for these kinds of things. So there is that movement. And I don't know if you guys see the charts, but Tom McDonald, his songs, they're on the charts, man. I mean, I love him. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. And then there's what's her name? Jennings. Oh, I forgot her name, her first name. I'm forgetting everything tonight.
I'm kind of out of
now.
I'm kind of out of the loop with like popular music. I'm just like,
Well,
but
Tom McDonald's pretty cool.
yeah, I know
Yeah.
Tom McDonald. I know what's his name, the Marine rapper too.
Yeah.
The Marine rapper, yeah.
Good
Luke
stuff.
Rawlings has done some pieces on him.
Yeah.
But
I think the guy from Stain too, right?
Oh yeah, he's
Came
like a
up with a
country
song.
singer
He's
right
a
now.
country singer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he came up with something too.
Oh, was it a standalone something like that? Am I gonna be alone? Right? Is it?
I think
something
so.
I
like-
think so, yeah.
It's a song like that, yeah. And those songs are the ones reaching to the top of the charts, and it makes you
Yeah.
think. How
Yeah,
many-
like there's a hunger for people to like want something different.
Yeah, they just want people to speak out. They
Yeah.
just want people want their freedom back.
Yeah.
People want their freedom back. They don't want to be scared to, and I catch myself sometimes being scared, and I have to snap myself out of it because I don't want to become like that.
Mhm.
It's been so ingrained in us to be quiet, not say
Yeah.
anything,
Yeah.
watch what you say, don't do this, don't do that. They know they are going to tell you what to do, you have to comply. And it's got to the point where no, Alex, stop it, like, not doing that anymore. We're not in California. We're not in
Yeah.
California. We're not going to get arrested if we walk on the street without a mask,
Yeah.
So these people are waking up. People are waking up, and I think us as artists, we have something that can help them, express themselves. That's what art is. It's expression.
Yeah.
It's trying to send a message. It's us creating a message from a vision we have, and for other people to interpret it as they see it. And we can do that, and there are a lot of other artists that are starting to do it. And
Yeah.
Well, I think like when a lot of artists too, they're kind of, they focus more on the blowback. Like if they post certain things or they say certain things or take certain stands on things, but they never think about like the positive that can come out of it. Because like, for example, like not too long ago, like maybe a couple of weeks ago, like when the whole mask restriction thing came back, I've been wearing a mask. I'm not, I've stopped wearing a mask in most of the places where I can get away with it. But this one, like nobody said anything, including, or actually the security guard, I was able to just get away with, oh, it's I have like a medical condition. And then like nobody else said anything until I got to the cashier at the market. And then I told the guys, like the cashier is like, well, you have to wear a mask now. I'm like, well, I have like a medical condition. And he's like, excuse me, what? Like, I'm like, I have a medical condition. And then he kept like repeating the question, kind of like, hoping that I would just kind of like quit or like give up and like put on a mask. And then like sure enough, like a patriot just came out of nowhere and like, hey, it's called breathing. I have because I said like after I said like I got a medical condition, and he's like, well, it's called breathing. So I think we're not gonna see those people or those patriots or discover those people unless we actually take a stand, especially if it's something you really, really believe in. And we can't be afraid to do it anymore. It's just otherwise, I mean, what else do we have? What else do we have?
Yeah, this is kind of like the last battle.
Is that-
It almost feels like and if there was ever a time, now it's the time.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, it's like It's
Yeah,
like we're
like-
playing football. It's like the last like play, like a Hail Mary. Like everybody's coming at you, like Hail Mary. You just try to make that last play. It's like you gotta make it good, man. You gotta make it good.
Yeah, it feels like this whole year of COVID, or like a year and a half. How long has it been? Like 2 years or some shit. But anyways,
Almost 2 years.
it feels like, I think the one thing that was surprising for me, like I just remember I had like a moment where like I spoke out for the first time, and I was just like, what happened to like people just being assholes again? Like everyone's so worried to like be the bad guy that like they're just gonna follow orders, but like there's no one that's like asking like, why am I gonna, I don't want to do this, it's just stupid. And just like there's like a culture of people that are just afraid to just be that person. And like,
Yeah.
isn't that an American thing to like, you know?
yeah,
A part of it too is like the whole censoring too. Is like people
Yeah.
are afraid of getting like their accounts deleted, and
Mhm.
like sometimes like I'll send stuff and like it won't even send, or like I'll try to post like a comment. I'm like, are you sure you want to send that comment? I'm like, fuck yeah. or like I remember
Yeah.
like a few times there's like there's like a few other people who are saying the same thing that might be a little offensive. Like, are you sure you want to send it? And then it won't let me, or actually it won't let me, I forget how it's worded, but it won't let me send it because it's classified as offensive. So I actually have to like play around with like the word. I have to like space it out or like spell it differently so people kind of think I'm an idiot, but at the same time I'm able to get like the comment out. But it's crazy. Like you have to like maneuver around these like stupid restrictions sometimes.
What's odd to me is like all the comedians I grew up loving, like they had like an assholeness to them. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And like I liked people that were like genuinely like fuck the system. They had like that kind of fuck you to the rest of the world kind of thing. It seems like that is being, I don't know, sort of like people
They're
are
kind of
like
like bending a knee.
kind of, yeah.
A little
It's
bit.
like what happened to people like to just say fuck you.
Yeah, Bill Burr still kind of still does it, like Bill Burr, and
Yeah.
I think if George, what's the name, Carlin was still alive, I think he would still be,
Yeah, yeah.
be
This is
like,
time.
you fucking idiots, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, so many good comics that are.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, have you seen like comedy like lately? Like, it's so terrible. It's like just the
Oh
most
yeah, like
pussy thing. Oh,
well, I can't stand it. When I first started noticing it the most, like the 4 or 5 years ago, like
Mhm.
I would try to tell like my friends and people like what the fuck happened to like Stephen Colbert, and who
yeah,
the hell is Trevor? Like Trevor Noah, like that guy's not funny. Like why? Like I could see that it was propaganda. I could see that it was either like being little pussies, man. They're just like going with the propaganda. Like there's nothing funny about what they were saying.
like Comedy Central used to be fucking great. Like
Yeah,
in
it
the
used to
late
be really funny, yeah.
2000s, like
Early
There was just-
2000s. Yeah.
there was a show that I used to, like. I kind of like modeled this show after. I don't know if there's a show called Tough Crowd. You ever heard of it? It was like it was really ahead of his time. It was like hosted by Colin Quinn, and he would
Mhm.
just have comedians like there, and they would just talk about shit that's going on, and comedians didn't give a fuck. Like they were kind of gangsters with it.
Yeah, like Jon Stewart was pretty funny like back then, like in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
early 2000s, and like they're like more like they would bash everything like left
Yeah.
and right, and I was like, that's cool, yeah. Like, well, everybody everybody should be criticized, not
Yeah.
just like one side. But now it's just like, what the hell? It's like,
Yeah, it's getting to a point where it's getting like just kind of boring.
Yeah.
it's getting bland, and you can like predict.
It's like little
punchlines
cheerleaders, like
and shit.
called her
Yeah,
just like, oh,
yeah.
oh,
Like
look at me.
I remember when like Bush was president, and after like a few years, like every comedian had like their Bush segment in their specials, and it just got really
Mhm.
boring and like repetitive. Like, oh, he's stupid. I got it. And
Yeah,
it feels
it's-
like that, but on a bigger scale. It's weird.
Like, yeah, way bigger.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's like a reason with like Bush, like
Yeah.
Bush Jr. I mean, yeah, like nobody wants to like be more.
It's like
But-
you can't make so many jokes now. You can't make like trans joke. Like
No, you
You know.
can't. I was watching Shrek 2 of all things.
A trans trick.
All night ago. And one of the lines was, I don't know if you guys have seen Shrek 2.
not in a while. Yeah.
Well, one of the lines was, there's a wolf who dresses, Little Red
Oh
Right.
Grandma, right?
He dresses in the grandmother's clothes.
Okay.
So there's a line in there that says, what does he find? Some gender confused wolf telling him this and that. And I just started cracking up, and I'm thinking to myself, God, if this came out today, what would the racket be on this?
Yeah.
What would people be saying about this? This wouldn't even have been making it to the movie theater.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's just hilarious. I that's why I kind of want to just watch all these movies and shows before the censorship started and this.
Yeah, I find myself just watching older things. Like anything new, I don't really watch. I just
No.
anything comedy wise, like if I have like some YouTube reviewers that like, pretty honest. And if the consensus is that it's just, it's like Ghostbusters remake type of shit, then
Yeah.
I'm just not interested. It's just,
Yeah. I just do reruns now of just old things
Yeah.
because there's nothing good out there.
like the last week I just been watching Pawn Stars. That's like this
Yeah.
show I watch.
Stars. I love Pawn Stars.
Yeah,
That
it's
was-
fun.
That was a good show.
But anything new and scripted, like it feels like it has to follow this particular kind of
I
line.
think Yellowstone there, I think
Is that the show with Kevin Costner?
so, and I think that might be an outlier
Mhm.
because I did see the first episode, and it had some potential.
Okay, cool.
Not a comedy, but it doesn't stick with the norms,
Okay, that's good.
it's kind of controversial. So, but don't take it from me yet because I haven't watched the entire thing. So
I heard the Karate Kid show was
I canceled Netflix because of their whole
yeah, they're pretty.
Yeah.
Was it the cuties thing that got you?
yeah, after that, I was just, goodbye, I can't deal with you. You are disgusting people.
Yeah.
Ugh, hypocrites.
Yeah.
But there's so much like material you can just make fun of nowadays, and it's a bummer that like there's no comedy that addresses this shit. Not that I know, frankly.
Well,
Really?
Babylon B is hilarious.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's yeah.
He came out with a video how to speak Bidenese.
Oh,
I don't
I
know
was
if
like,
you've seen it.
no,
I haven't seen that one.
that's like
a new
Oh
one.
my gosh, I was cracking up. If you guys if you pull it up here, I don't know if you
Yeah, I'll try to pull it up.
Yeah, pull it
Oh my gosh, was I cracking up? I couldn't stop laughing because it was, it didn't really attack Biden, but it just made fun of his speech. It was
yeah.
um,
Yeah.
Looking for it.
Yeah. What sucks is that I haven't been able to like really share anything like from like the Babylon Bee, or like I have before, like over like the last 4 or 5 years with my friends, and then like Freedom Tunes too, and like people are like they don't like it. They're just like, dude, why are you sending me this? Dude, it's like funny. It doesn't matter like what you believe. Like, this is funny. And like everybody just like people are just like, stop sending me this. This isn't funny. I'm like, dude, like the stuff that you have is like just like worse. I don't know.
I shared a Babylon Bee article
Yeah.
a couple days ago or last week of like CNN praises the Taliban for wearing masks or something like that.
Oh, he was like fact checked, huh?
Yeah, and Instagram fact
Dumbass.
checked me like this is
Yeah.
false. It's like, what?
What?
Yeah. I think that happened to me too. I posted something in my stories like this is not right. It's like, you dumbass.
Oh yeah, this is it.
This is it. Okay.
Oh my god.
Badakefker. My boss been wet. Palmas. Truinder dash dubba depressure. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today I am going to teach you how to speak Bidenese. I'm going to teach you a few words and then we'll get the proper pronunciation and context from the master himself, President Joe Biden. The first word I'm going to teach you today is Nexnosrent. Nexnosrent. President Biden will now demonstrate this word for us.
Donald Trump does pose an excellent threat to this. It's not hypothetical.
It's not hypothetical. Nexnosrent. Okay, the next word we've got is Badakefker. Badakefker. Say it. Try it. Badakefker. President Biden.
Barack and I think it's a right for people to have bad health care.
Next, my butt's been wet. Now, a common error on this one is people put the stress on the wrong syllable. It's not my butt's been wet. It's not my butt's been wet. It's my butt's been wet. Say it. My butt's been wet.
My butt's been wet.
Next, we have a word that's much simpler.
What was he trying to say there? Do you know?
My butt was wet.
Is that what it was?
I'm laughing.
The fuck? Let's go.
Palmist. Palmist. Can you say palmist?
How about we try to like predict like what the context was? Palmist.
I tried.
Palmist. Fuck. I got nothing. No, I don't know. Let's see.
President Biden, palmist.
And if we do, and I'm sure we can proclaim the palmist, with the palmist who wrote these following words.
Oh, is it promise?
All right, now that you've got 4 words in the bag, we're going to move on to a really complex Bidenese word. Do you think you're ready for it? You're going to really have to pay attention here. This is sort of advanced level Bidenese. Very long word, okay? This is what it is. It's a very long word. Are you ready? Truinder dash dubba depressure. Truinder dash dubba depressure. One word.
Something depression, I'm guessing.
Something good.
True and yeah, this is hard.
Yeah, I remember
One
this
word.
one.
Truinder dash dubba depressure.
He
Say
said it
a
with
little more
conviction though.
Did he?
Truinder dash dubba depressure. Truinder dash dubba depressure. President Biden, go.
I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international depression.
Truinder dash dubba depressure. You guys did fantastic.
Well, it's funny. He
You
says it
learned-
with so much like confidence too.
Yeah.
He
I
says like
can't-
it's like a real word.
I kind of hope that there's like a Biden coin like in the future, like what his quote would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, maybe he's speaking like reptilian or something. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
You know how like sometimes like Mexicans speak like Spanglish and go back and
Maybe.
forth between English and Spanish. So I don't know.
Is there another one in this? Or?
5 new words in a new language, and now you know more Bidenese than you knew yesterday. What can I do but leave President Biden with the last word?
So I'm going to say something outrageous. I have never been particularly poor at calculating how to get things done in the United States Senate. So the best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway. We're going to get a lot.
I got hairy legs.
Damn, dude.
Like he just gets tired, like, ah,
Like,
never mind. Like I'm too
as
tired.
a comedian or comedy writer, how do you not like jump on that shit? Like it's easy, you know?
Yeah.
I know. I
Like,
know.
Plus,
know.
like, there's a what's his name? That Freedom Tunes guy who's
I
doing
love
good stuff,
him.
Yeah.
and what's that other guy? The Grimes. He does those comic strips.
Is it G Prime or G
Yeah, G
Prime?
G G
Prime.
Primes. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
people like that, and he's going viral. It's
Yeah,
easy
yeah.
time.
I
man.
think yeah. I think
Like-
he did that book for
Lauren Southern.
Lawrence. Yeah, exactly. I think that's how
yeah.
he got kind of blew up.
Yeah, but it's weird that like a lack of people jumping on this when there's so much material nowadays. Oh man, it's
I'm
odd.
half tempted now to do a piece using one of these Bidenese.
Yeah, it's like a graphic kind of tee or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is the stuff that sticks, you know. This is what stays with people because it's memorable. And
Yeah.
so they'll remember it. Gosh, comedy writers are missing out nowadays.
They're going more but I think with social media, like it could lead to like an underground kind of thing, like people making their own content. Like there's one like a TikToker person, like Long Beach Griffey, I think his name is. But he just does these little silly videos, but he's going viral. He's doing good things. Like, I think if you want to be some kind of a comedy writer, I think you should have to go more independent. I
Yeah.
don't think Comedy Central is going to call you any day. So, yeah. How long have you been going? We usually do about an hour and a half or something like that.
I think we've done like an hour and a half. I think.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I guess we should maybe start winding down.
Well, it was fun being on here with you guys.
Oh, thanks.
You guys are great.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for
Yeah.
having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, hopefully, if you want to come back another time, just let me
Yeah.
know. Maybe the others can be on.
Yeah.
I guess let's just how should we end this?
Last words or
Any last words? Any thing you want to just bring up that's been on your mind?
Oh boy, I feel like I'm at the end of class or something. I'm having flashbacks to college.
speech class.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know if we have time. Maybe we want to just talk about college and wokeness in college, or would that take too much time?
It would take a lot of time, but I'll tell you what, have an episode dedicated entirely to that, and I will come with my best.
Okay. I'll think of a schedule that sometime, because that would be an insane one. Because college. Oh my God, Trump really turned up college. I swear, man. Anyways.
Yeah, that could be a 2-hour show.
Yeah,
in
dude.
of itself.
Yeah. Ugh. Anyways, I guess we'll just end it here. All right. Well, thank you for watching this another episode of the Critical Introverts Show. I'm your host, Senior Filth, Benevolent Asshole, and thank you to Alexandra Castle. You're always welcome, and thank you for watching. See you another time. Bye.